these guys and girls can see things we can't. He's been shipped around the world. He's taught science, invested in debentures and stocks and shares. He's even a little bit younger than me. Imagine that. So that's a feat. He's rubbed shoulders with elite chess grandmasters and probably others as well, including that of John Nunn. He even meets them socially. Wow. And he's your friend in theirs, and even mine on Facebook. He's even a chess author and former UK champion, to name just a little bit about same. And he was a teacher. We better watch our P's and Q's. Dave, welcome and thank you very much, International Master Mr. Paul E. Littlewood. We have to say Mr. as you've been a teacher. Science, one of the bestest subjects on the planet, apart from maths, English, history, economic studies, metalwork, woodwork. By the time of watching this interview, you might even know him just as much as he's going to find out about himself. So welcome along, and now the microphone is in your hands for about 2 seconds.
Hello, good morning, everybody, and nice to talk to you. Or good evening, sorry. It's good morning in the UK. It's good evening in
Well, that sounds
New Zealand.
English.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be very delighted to talk to you and to say a little bit about myself. I'm not sure exactly what you want, but I've been born and raised in England, and I lived in England for all my life. So I do love New Zealand. I've been there a few times, and you know, very much, if I had a chance, I would quite like to live there. But unfortunately, it's very difficult now for us older boys, because you don't want us old boys anymore. You want the youngsters who can give you something. There we are.
Oh, yes. Well, actually, can I open with one of my good chess friends from Canterbury, actually a former England person himself. He came over a long time ago. He's asking you, please, sir, why are all the kids so strong all of a sudden?
Why are all the kids so strong?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a young person's game, I think. I think the thing is, chess captures their imagination. It's the board game, and, you know, a bit like a war and a battle, and the kids just love it. I mean, I'm also involved with bridge, and bridge, frankly, can't get the youngsters that chess can. Chess they seem to take to chess like they take to water when they swim and so on. And it really is a game that the youngsters are taking to heart. Particularly, I mean, the Indian youngsters are doing extremely well. India has suddenly become a major force in chess, and it's because they've got their youngsters going and the sponsorship and help there. And we're the same in the UK. I mean, we have some fantastic youngsters, and we have some fantastic support for youngsters. For instance, we run a tournament in the UK with all the schools involved, and massive amounts of youngsters get involved. So it's very much a young person's game, yeah.
Wow, that sounds fantastic. It wasn't there in my day. I know I'm a bit older than you, but it wasn't there in my day. Can you please explain to those viewers out there about your left eye, or is it your right eye? If you want to, you might not want to.
It's my left eye, sorry. Yeah, it's a bit swollen. I do apologize about that. It's just that I've got a little sty or something forming, and I've been treating it. It's a lot better than it was a day or so ago. I would have been looking awful, but it's improved a bit. And you know, apologies about that. Talking about youngsters, though. You know, talking about youngsters. When I was younger, Leonard Barden. I don't know if you've heard of Leonard Barden.
Yes,
but he's still the correspondent for the Financial Times, amazingly, in his 90s now. And but he was very, very keen to get youngsters involved, and it was his initiative that got youngsters in the UK going. And I was part of that initiative in the 70s and 80s, and the youngsters in the UK became very good, and obviously culminating with Nigel Short, who played for the World Championship. But he was one of Len Barden's prodigies.
I've had him comment. I've had that grandmaster of yours, the super grandmaster, if I can say, Nigel Short, comment on one of my problems that I made up myself, you know, and I was really stoked. So was New Zealand chess players. They were just like, wow, you know.
Yes. Well, Nigel's very good, actually.
Huh?
You think he's not watching, but actually on the Facebook, he often responds to things and says,
a
how
very
about
nice
this?
guy.
He's quite keen. Yeah, he's at the moment he's in Africa. Actually, he's promoting chess in Africa. He's doing a great job for FIDE and being an
Wow.
ambassador for them. Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. Now, do you want me to just leave the mic with you, or do you want me to ask you these quick fire questions?
Quick fire questions are fine by me. I mean, I could talk
Okay.
all day, but but
You're
it could
only
get
allowed
boring.
to pick. You're only allowed to pick one answer, not two. Okay.
All right.
Coffee or tea?
Sorry.
You heard me. Coffee or tea? It's easy.
Tea. I didn't hear you. Actually.
Cat or dog?
Cat.
Soft or hard pillow? Soft or hard pillow?
Oh, soft. Sorry. Yes, I can.
Left side of the bed or right?
Left.
Driving or being driven?
Driving.
Taxi or bus?
What was that?
Sorry, taxi or bus?
Texty or bust?
No, taxi. Oh, sorry. It's the New Zealand
accent. Taxi. It's the New Zealand accent. I'm sorry. Yes, taxi. Yeah, taxi. Or bus. That's a good question. I don't mind. Bus.
Goldilocks and the Three Bears or Little Red Riding Hood?
Little Red Riding Hood.
World War I or World War II?
Or World War II.
Lion or tiger?
Tiger.
Gun or dagger?
Oh, neither. Dagger.
Push bike. I had one pointing at me there in my dream this morning. It was a bit scary. Push bike or electric bike?
Push bike.
Electricity or solar?
Electricity. I'll be non-green for a minute.
You're being scientific. Tiny house or conventional?
What was the first option? Sorry.
Tiny house or conventional? Like a normal house or small house, a miniature house? You know the wee houses.
I'll go for conventional. Conventional.
Oh, so would I. Intelligence. It's not about me though. Intelligence or beauty?
Intelligence. But is he lying?
I told you you'll know more about yourself. I even asked my mum a question. I was quite surprised with her answer. Brother or sister? And she said, I mean, my brother, I mean, me or my sister. And she said, sister. No, just joking. It was about, I asked her, does she like shower or bath? And she said, bath. And that explains some things to me because she's, she hates the shower. I didn't realize till then. Anyway, on with this. Yeah. Eagle or elephant?
Eagle.
Rural or urban?
Rural.
Dolphin or penguin?
Dolphin.
Teddy bear or blankie?
Teddy bear.
Sausage or saveloy?
Sausage.
Mustard. Are you enjoying it so far? I don't
know what it's telling us.
Huh? You thought it was going to be hard, didn't you? Yeah. I made these questions up all by myself. How's that? Mustard or curry? This will get rid of that sty in your eye. Mustard or curry? Well, probably will actually. Huh?
Curry.
Yeah. Oh, good. Me too. Letter or numeral? Letter or numeral?
I know, I'm thinking. Sorry.
I know.
Numeral.
Pepper or salt?
Salt.
Sudoku or code cracker?
Sudoku.
Snail mail or email?
Email.
Tomato or mushroom soup?
Tomato. My favorite.
Potage. Correspondence chess or team chess?
Team chess.
Pizza or KFC?
Pizza.
Fish and chips or bangers and mash?
Bangers and mash.
Is that your favourite?
Yeah, I like bangers and mash. I love them.
Sausage or egg?
Ooh. Egg.
Kangaroo or koala?
Kangaroo.
Young Earth or millions of years?
Millions of years.
Okay, good. That goes into the next slot now. Creation or evolution?
Evolution.
Google or Microsoft Edge?
Google.
Maths or science?
Maths, actually.
Wow.
Even though I'm a side, maths, yeah.
Economic studies or home economics?
Economic studies.
Singing or play an instrument? You'll look back at this and you go, oh, wow, that's what I am. So
Play an
singing,
instrument.
play
an instrument.
What instrument?
Piano.
Oh, wow. I didn't do too much research. Lawn mowing or dishes? Mowing the lawns or dishes?
Which
one do you like better?
Mowing. Lawn mowing.
Woodwork or metalwork?
Woodwork.
Rice or potatoes?
Rice.
Chicken or beef?
Chicken.
I can write a book after this. Junior or senior?
Junior.
Shower or bath?
Shower.
That's what my mum answered, was the bath. Positional or tactical?
Tactical.
Wow, that's cool. Win or lose?
Win.
Swindle or brilliancy?
Brilliancy.
Luck or skill?
Skill.
History or geography?
History.
Beer or wine?
Wine.
That's what Mum said too. I tested it out like Mum just to see what sort of reaction I got, and she said, "What has this got to do with chess?"
Yes, well, there is a point. There is a point.
No, because this is anyway. Lettuce or cabbage?
Lettuce.
This is the fun one. I've got the other one for the mate. Walk or run? Doesn't matter. You don't have to. Walk or run?
Walk.
Swim or bike?
Swim.
Avocado or tomato?
Tomato.
Here's a very important one. Okay, brace yourself. Are you ready?
Yeah.
You ready? Sure?
Yeah.
You sure? Do you want the brevity question? The brevity question or the slow-mo? Sweet or savory?
Savory.
Me too. Fly or drive?
Drive.
Squirrel or fox?
Fox.
Not too long ago. Snow White or Cinderella?
Snow White.
Sound of Music or My Fair Lady?
Tough one. I like them both. Sound of Music.
Which is better in your opinion? Sir Edmund Hillary or Burt Munro? Burt Munro's the world's fastest Indian. And Edmund Hillary is a mountaineer.
I know Edmund Hillary is the New Zealander who climbed Mount Everest. Yeah. Well, I've always admired him. I don't really know the other guy. So Edmund Hillary.
Oh yeah, it's a good movie, by the way. It's the world's fastest Indian. Cricket or soccer?
Cricket.
Manchester United or Chelsea?
Manchester United. I support Man U.
I didn't know that, but that's really good to know. A friend of mine used to, anyway, it doesn't matter. Candlelight dinner or party meal?
Candlelight dinner.
Crowd or private?
Private.
Oh, we better take this off then. It's going to go public. Marshall or Capablanca? Here's a chess question. Marshall or Capablanca?
Capablanca.
Morphy or Carlson?
Carlson.
Coke or Pepsi, please?
Coke.
Chocolate or ice cream?
Hmm.
I had to think about these for a long, long time.
That's a tough one because I love both of them. I'd go for chocolate.
Doctor or nurse?
Well, I'm a bloke, so nurse.
I'm a bit naughty, aren't I? But if you want the doctor for your eye, you don't want the nurse.
No, true.
So track or, this is a trick question, track or javelin?
Track or javelin?
Yeah, that
Track.
that sounds English to me. Mum or dad?
Oh, mum.
Wife or girlfriend?
Wife.
Don't answer. You better answer in that way. It ain't half hot, mum, or hello. Oh, you lovely little boys. Oh, you lovely little boys. You lovely little boys.
Hello, I'm afraid.
Oh, let's go. Bee Gees or Queen?
Queen.
Elton John or Mick Jagger?
Elton John.
Beatles or ABBA?
Beatles.
Oh, of course. Of course. Doctor or dentist?
Doctor.
Rock or classical? Got to put one in for the doctor.
Classical.
I wasn't talking about Doctor Who, by the way.
Yeah.
Apple or Android?
Android.
Beach or mountains?
Mountains.
Rugby or soccer?
Rugby.
Mac or PC? You getting bored of this?
PC. Yeah. Are we finished yet?
Not too long. Peanut butter or cheese?
Cheese.
Toast or fresh?
Sorry. What?
Toast or fresh?
Toast or fresh? Ah, right. Bread. Fresh.
Joy or happiness?
Oh, wow. Happiness.
Cricket or golf?
Cricket.
Pick one only, Huey, Dewey or Louie?
Huey
I'll pay you for this, don't worry. Huh?
Sorry, what was that?
Huey, Dewey or Louie from Donald Duck's kids.
Oh, I don't know. Louis.
I don't know them either.
No.
Chewbacca or Han Solo?
Han Solo.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Trek.
Jaws or Jurassic Park, which is Heather Wegener's one for you. Jaws or Jurassic Park?
Jaws.
Piano or violin? You've already answered that.
Piano, yeah.
Bugatti or Lamborghini? You said you like driving.
Lamborghini.
Mercedes or Porsche?
Porsche.
Ford or Ferrari?
Ferrari.
Gary Lane or Murray Chandler? I did laugh. You know,
I saw Gary quite recently. I saw Murray as well when I went over.
Yeah, I don't have to answer.
Gary.
Okay.
There's nothing in it. There's nothing in it.
Yeah, I know. It's the amount of years that you go back, I think.
Yeah.
And you've beaten Murray too. Dunedin or Auckland?
Dunedin or Auckland, did you say?
Yeah. Dunedin or Auckland? Or don't you know?
Yeah, I do know. Auckland, I'll go for.
How do you cheat at chess or chess for tigers?
Chess for tigers.
Comedy or romance?
Romance.
I know the influence of the same. Horror or thriller?
Thriller.
Fiction or non-fiction?
Non-fiction.
Snow or ice?
Snow.
Donald Duck or Mickey Mouse?
Donald Duck.
So you're just the point scale at the moment. Christmas or Easter?
Christmas.
Work or holidays?
Holidays.
Morning or night?
Morning.
Sports or current affairs?
Sports.
Stay with family or hotel?
Stay with family.
Train or bus?
Train.
Suntan or sunbed? Sun out the sun or sunbed, if any?
Suntan.
Surf or swim?
Swim.
Climbing or abseiling? Not too long to go.
Neither. Climbing.
Parachute or scuba diving?
Oh my God. Scuba diving.
Diamond or gold? You've done well. I'm very impressed. You're the only one who's gone through all these and not thrown something at me from the other side of the world. So, diamond or gold?
Diamond.
Money or fame?
Sorry, money or?
Money or fame?
Money or fame?
Rich like Elon Musk or famous like
Yeah, I know
Elon
what you
Musk?
mean. I would go fame.
You will be after this video. They'll be saying, "What did you have that?"
Infamous, I think, rather than famous. But there we go.
No, don't think so. Aristotle or Plato?
Oh, that's a tough one. Aristotle.
Wet or dry?
Dry.
Hot or cold?
Hot.
Pink or blue?
Blue.
Black or white?
White.
New Zealand or Australia?
New Zealand.
Oh, of course. You would only say that if you're on that stage, if you're in a band and you.
No, I like New Zealand because it's got no sneaks, as we say.
Yeah. Sneaks. USA or UK?
UK.
You sound very English to me by some reason. Karpov
Really?
or Kasparov?
Kasparov.
Plane or cruise?
Cruise.
Queen Elizabeth or King Charles II, I mean, Queen Elizabeth II, who I've actually had talk to me. She spoke to me.
She's a nice lady. Queen Elizabeth II.
Stage or projector room? There's
Stage.
Okay, Sony or Panasonic?
Sony.
World Computer Chess or World Human Chess?
World Human Chess.
Tiddlywinks or pickup sticks?
Oh, pickup sticks.
Renting a movie or going to the movies?
Going to the movies.
Going out for takeouts or having them delivered? Two more.
Going out for takeouts.
But by this time, you've forgotten about your eye. Going out for tea or homemade?
Homemade.
Oh, okay. Eating at the table or eating on the couch?
Eating on the table, actually.
Now, Paul.
Yeah.
What questions do you have for yourself? By the way, some or all will be repeat of my questions to you if we've got enough time, if I haven't gone too far. But we can always do... we can always... I've now been told we got 16%.
You've got about 9 minutes, yeah.
So I'll just put that out of the way. And that's good. I've got time up there. Who taught you chess, Paul? I already know the answer, but please tell her.
Yeah, sure. I learned chess very early on from my father, who was an England international, and he taught me the game, and I was interested, and so was my sister, and we played friendly games against each other. And then I took it further, and I think none of the other children in the family did, because it was a bit difficult for them to compete with the elder brother, so they did other things, you know. And I went with my father to congresses and learnt from watching him play, and also then I played myself in junior tournaments, and eventually managed to, having struggled a bit earlier on, I then managed to win the British Under-18 Championship. So that and that was my kind of breakthrough then, and I started to play more. Yeah. You know, and yeah, it was my father's influence. He helped a lot. It's always very helpful to have a very good player who can look at your games afterwards and say, well, that's rubbish or whatever, and analyze, and you learn from him, basically.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. I think I could have done a bit better if I'd studied more, though. I didn't study enough, because I don't know whether you've heard of Terry Chapman, but Terry Chapman is quite a strong player now. He's a senior doing well, but he beat me in the British Under-14, and I was mega impressed because he prepared and he knew what to play. I mean, I'd never even considered that as a youngster when I was 13 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
But it all came naturally. I played just natural games and natural chess, and I think that helped in a way for later on.
Right. So was it your father that wrote The Middle Game on Chess, the book?
My father wrote The Middle Game on Chess, yeah.
Okay,
he wrote that book. And I wrote a book on tactics, chess tactics, which I've only written one book. I'm not like these prolific authors like, Gary, for instance, you mentioned, Murray, and all these people, John Nunn. They've written loads and loads of books, but I frankly, I found it really, really tough writing a book. It was quite hard. I was married. I had 2 children. That was one of the reasons why I never really made that progression from International Master to Grandmaster, because that requires a lot of effort. And I think, at that stage, I was a teacher, had 2 young children. It just really wasn't right for me, And
sniper only gets one shot.
Looking back now, I think that, maybe I regret it slightly, because it would have been nice to be a Grandmaster. But there we are. I had other things on my mind, and I developed a career in finance and so on. So it changed, and I really enjoyed the chess I played. And looking back, I beat some quite good players like Tony Miles, for example.
Yes.
And John Nunn, as you mentioned, John Spielman, Jonathan Mestel, all the top English players. I beat Michael Adams. I've beaten Michael Adams as well. So the potential was there.
Yes.
But it was a question of finding the time,
Yeah, well, that sounds remarkable. That's like that's really right up there, really, isn't it? So this isn't on the thing, but and we've got this, we've got 6 minutes to go. If you want to do another one to join up or whatever, that's up to you, of course. You asked this question yourself, so here it goes. Okay, so you ready?
Yeah.
Right. What was it like to beat Grandmaster Murray Chandler?
Well, Murray and I have had loads of battles. I tell you what was really hurt me in the Arc Masters in the early 80s. I had 5 out of 5, and he had 4.5 out of 5, and we played the last round. And I only needed to draw to win the tournament, and I was white. But the trouble with me is I never knew how to play for a draw in those days, and it would never occur to me. I was hopeless. So I played an interesting opening, and he played an interesting opening. And after an incredibly tough battle, we both had very little time. He eventually won, and he won the Arc Masters. So I was upset, very upset by that. That was a big upset. But then a bit later on in the British Championship in 1981, which I won, I got my revenge. This time I was black. And it was really, really nice. It was a very good game of mine, and I was really chuffed. And it was nice to get my revenge on Murray. And I think of all the Grandmasters, Murray and I, we always have a very interesting game. He's beaten me on several occasions. I've beaten him on several occasions. But I always feel I've got an equal chance against Murray, because Murray himself is a very enterprising player. He wouldn't know how to play for a draw either. He's not that kind of guy. He's always playing for a win, and it's very interesting to play a guy like that,
Well, that's amazing.
I was chuffed to beat him and win the British, and that was the big game when I beat him there with black. Yeah.
What was it like, and how did you win the UK title?
Well, I started off, it's funny, you look at these things. I started off with a game, the first round, I played a sacrifice, and I thought when I played the game, it all went very smoothly and I won. But afterwards, when I looked at it, I realized, in fact, my opponent might have been able to refute it. So, that was the first round. Had I lost that first round and not won it, the whole story could have been different. But from that on, that tournament, I played enterprising chess. I played people like Nigel Short, Bill Hartston, Jonathan Spielman, Murray Chandler, virtually a lot of the top players in Britain at the time. And it all went well. I mean, I was lucky. I won some, I drew. The games where I was struggling, I drew. The games where I was winning, I won, which is always nice. And it just went very well.
Do you think that you've got a few talents then? And does that cause you issue?
Did I get a what? Sorry, few what?
Do you think you've got a number of talents and that might be a conflict for you? Because
yes, there is a danger. I mean, I did other things as well. I mean, had I been just a purely chess player, and had I not got married, I think I would have gone on and probably become a grandmaster and certainly gone for it. But there were other interests, and also it wasn't easy to make money as a professional in those days. You had to be totally committed, and I with a family, it's impossible, really. You can't do it.
Do you want me to pause this? Do you want me to pause this and continue it, or do it another time, or what do you want me to do?
No, I'm happy to continue. Let's continue and get it out of the way. Yeah, we'll pause and
because we got 2:30 to go.
Yeah.
At the moment, and so do you want me to just relink and do the rest of the interview?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay.
That's probably the way to do it, isn't it? You need to stop it and then you relink, and you'll have another 40 minutes. Yeah.
Relink. Yeah, and I'll just I think I'll be able to. I think I'd be more comfortable with that. It's all my fault. It's all my fault with the extras. So
no problem.
I'm going to now stop recording, and then I'm going to send you a new link.
Okay, lovely. That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, cheers. See you in a minute. Okay, hi.
Hi again. Thank you very much. And I really, really, really appreciate this.
No problem at all.
All the way from St Kilda, Dunedin, which is almost the southernmost point in the planet that Mum and Dad found in 1952 and decided to stay.
Is that where you live now?
Yeah, no, I live in Christchurch, but there's Mum's got some things going on for her. She's had a broken fibula. I haven't put it on Facebook, but I won't do that because now COVID and Queen's Gambit series brought chess back to the world. What did the Hunts and Magnus occurrence do for the game?
Well, what does Magnus do for the game? Yeah.
What did Magnus and Hunts Niemann do for the game?
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, that was all a bit unfortunate, really. I guess there's no smoke without fire, but it's not entirely clear what happened. And I believe the latest thing was the case was dismissed, wasn't it, by a US judge, I believe. So it's all kind of over. They must have suspected something for Magnus and also various other people. But in a funny kind of way, though, there's the old saying, what's publicity, there's no such thing as bad publicity. it kind of, anything at all which draws your attention to the game of chess is good for it, because it really has led to a big expansion in the number of players. I mean, I was amazed. I was looking at the data for the number of people who are joining up and playing online chess. Something unbelievable. Per day, the number of new users of chess.com, for example. I mean, it's incredible. Yeah, yeah. So obviously, chess is the in thing. I mean, it's a very relatively easy game to play online. And, you only need two people. A lot of games, you need more than two people. But two people to play a game of chess, it's fairly easy. And I think also that, face-to-face is coming back. Certainly in the UK, it's coming back. I don't know what you're finding in New Zealand, but we're getting more and more tournaments face-to-face now. And people are getting used to playing back, proper chess. Yeah.
Well,
so yeah, good. It's been good for the game, I think, even though obviously it was a rather unsavory incident. I think generally it's been good for the publication of chess, and the Queen's Gambit, amazing. That everyone was talking about that, and all my friends, even non-chess players, were talking about it. Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, the same subject. Your view on England versus Australia cricket?
Oh, blimey, it's always a big battle. I mean, the ladies have just lost, our ladies to your ladies, it was a very tight thing. So that was a good battle. This other series looking tight as well. I mean, the Australians are a bit lucky to go 2 ahead. And now we fought back to 2-1. So it's all to play for. I mean, I hope the boys are going to do it. But, the Aussies are always very resilient, and they're always a tough nut to crack, as being in New Zealand. You're the Aussies are your old enemy, aren't they? Basically, yeah.
Friendly rivals.
Friendly rivals, absolutely, yeah.
Yes, but I'm sorry you're being quite evasive here, because I'm talking about the throw the ball through the stumps when the Englishman is walking away.
No, well, that was. I mean, I don't know how I would have reacted there, but I think personally, the Australian captain should have been more. He should have recalled the batsman. It was an unfortunate. I suppose in the letter of the law, he was out, but it wasn't really a fair wicket, was it? I mean, it was the English batsman obviously thought the ball was dead. Bairstow, but it was yeah. It left a bit of an unsavory taste in the mouth, and we hated the Australians for about 10 minutes, but we're okay now. Now we won the third test, we're back again, and they're okay.
Yeah, they were cheats.
Yeah, exactly. But
Piers Morgan. I was watching Piers Morgan about it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think the point was that we. I don't know how I believe the Australian newspapers was calling us wimps and everything and so on, and saying, don't be so babyish. But it was the opposite reaction in English newspapers.
What do you do if things don't go well for you, Paul?
If things don't go well for me generally, chess. Well, you have to kind of put it behind you and not take it to heart too much. I mean, there are times. I mean, I if something does go wrong, I mean, there was one famous game I had, taking chess as an example. I played in a match in the 4 NCL, the National Chess League, and it was in Swansea in Wales. And so I travelled there with my wife, and she'd stayed the weekend doing various things, and I got on with the chess. And I played this game on the Sunday, and we were going back home that night. And I lost the piece early on. I fought back. I won the piece back. I got a winning position. And then I blundered again. And I lost, right?
Oh, dear.
And frankly, my wife said to me after, she said, the drive home, it was pouring with rain. She really thought she really thought we were going to die, because I was so angry. I was not really concentrating on driving. You know, I was driving dangerously. I mean, I was so angry. I was so angry with myself. But, you know, that lasted for probably the evening as well. And you've got to put it behind you then eventually. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a game, isn't it?
It is just a game, but, you know, it's all right saying that. I mean, you know, what did Bill Shankly, you know, he said some people think football's just a game or even just a matter of life and death. It's actually a lot more than that, you know. And sometimes we do take it rather too seriously. That's absolutely right. But, you know, it was really irritating that. I mean, to have blundered and then to have fought back and then to blunder again. Disaster, you know. Hopefully I'll never do that again, but, you know, touch wood.
Well, the Bible has got, you've got the cuppa too. Bible has got, I want to do what's right, okay, sort of thing, but I end up doing something wrong. And in this case, it's blundering, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just made that up, by the way.
But my reaction was wrong as well. You just got to accept these things. But, you know, if we don't sometimes react and get upset and emotional, then we're not really human, are we? At the end of the day,
no, of course not.
We do sometimes get emotional about these things, and, you know, later on we realize we were wrong, but at the time, that's the way it is. Yeah.
And what are your favorite chess moments? And I don't mind repeats. I don't know why I've written that down, but what are your
my favorite? Well, obviously winning the British Championship was a favorite moment, but there was also one particular moment. I played in the Arc Masters, and it was a very nice tournament. The Arc Masters tournament was held down in Sussex, and a lot of the strong players played because this guy who organised it was very enthusiastic. He got everybody along, and he was a marvellous organiser. And Barton, I think was his name. I can't remember his first name. Yeah, but we played in this Arc Masters, and I tended to do quite well. And I played in about round 4, Tony Miles. I was black. Now, my record against Tony Miles, as you might imagine, is not being great because he's a fantastic player. So, but I played this game with black, and frankly, probably one of the best games I've ever played. It all went well. I made a sacrifice which worked. I won the ending nicely and beat him, and then went on to do quite well in the tournament. But that was a very favourite moment when you beat someone like Tony Miles, who obviously was the top player in Britain at the time. It kind of gives you a great satisfaction. And but obviously, when I won the British Championship, that was amazing. Also, to be fair, recently, last year, I met a lot of my old cronies. We played for England over 65s. And John Nunn was there. He played board 1.
I saw that.
Yeah, Nigel Povar, he played as well. And he was another of my contemporaries who had a load of tough games against. We all played, and we won. And that was a great moment.
Yes.
Particularly the closing ceremony. I'm not sure it was a great moment for anyone else, but we were belting out the national anthem, you know? I'm not sure the crowd enjoyed that, but there we are. We enjoyed it.
Well, that's awesome. I saw that on Facebook, but that's really awesome to hear it from you. Any special memories of historical chess moments that you've seen or heard of?
What, you mean prior to me playing, or just when I was playing, or what?
Means what it means.
Yeah, exactly. Just
special memories of historical chess moments. I've got one, but it's not about me.
No, I do remember particularly being there at Skara in the European Team Championship and seeing Tony Miles with black beat Karpov. That was a fairly historic moment because he chose the St. George defense with A6 against E4.
A6.
And he beat, that was a very historical moment, seeing Miles beat Karpov there. That was fantastic. Funnily enough, at that, there was also another historical moment, not to do with chess, but I actually hit Ray Keene with a snowball. So that was very, very historical because it was the weather. It was in Sweden, and the weather was pretty bad. And we were walking back from dinner one night, and a snowball fight kind of broke out.
Well,
so that was good fun.
That sounds really like, no wonder you said yes to snow and not ice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was very soft. There was no one in any danger. I didn't do that well. I actually, to be fair, playing for England teams, I did well when I played for the Student Olympiad in Mexico, and I won the gold medal for the board. And I lost to Beliaski in that student, but obviously he's a very strong player. But I did very well overall. But then in between, in the England matches, I didn't do that well, and it was quite tough. I didn't do very well, and so I was pleased to be able to do well again in the England over 65s and to support England, because you know, I'm very keen to support England as a team. Yeah.
How do you relate chess to life, Paul?
Well, that's a tough question. I mean, you know, some people would say that a chess player doesn't know how to live life because he becomes very isolated. I think people notice that your brain, you become dominated by the board, you're dominated by the game, and you become very singular, and you, nothing else counts. It's to be that ability to cut everything else off and to concentrate is very, very important. And you know, it means that that's slightly different to life. Life is very much, you know, doing all kinds of different things and so on, but the concentration required for chess is very tough. And I would say, you know, put it in, you know, in say a top profession, like say you're a nuclear scientist or something, where you're focused solely on one objective, and a very, very tough thing. And in fact, it does make it hard, I think, for wives of chess players do have sometimes a bit of a rough time, because we become very, very, you know, narrowly focused on the game, and frankly, sometimes not very nice to know. There we are.
I heard that from the other point of view, I heard why a certain New Zealand chess player gave up chess. And the reason was, at night time, he was being hassled by chess pieces floating around in his head. At dream time, when he wants to go to sleep, he's got these chess pieces, and you know, like his brain. And I you know, I have that happen too. Like, if I get a problem, it's not about me, but if I get a problem, I work it out sometimes when I've woken up, just wake up and go, oh, that's it.
Yeah. I do that myself. You go to bed with the problem in your head, and you kind of daydreaming, kind of when you're not fully asleep, you kind of think about the problem, and then later on you wake up properly and you suddenly say, oh yes, that happens to me quite a lot. And as I say, you get dominated by chess if you don't watch it, and you know, you've got to try and avoid that, otherwise you become you know, a bit of a rubbish person to know. Basically.
Have you any advice for new chess players, even if they're older people? You know, what have you got for advice for those new chess players out there?
Well, I would say that first of all, it might seem obvious this, but it's not. You must try and, with your openings, try and be happy with what you play, and to look at things yourself. Larson gave me this advice many years ago when I read his book. He said, you know, looking at an opening is looking at yourself. It's no good looking at books. It's no good looking at analysis. You've got to look at it yourself to appreciate what's involved. So I would say very much doing your own study. And when you're happy with everything, I mean, I'll give you an example. I played a line in the Roe Lopez against Jim Plaskett, John Nunn, Robert Bellin.
Goodness me.
Yeah, those three who are strong players, British players. And I played this line, which in theory, was slightly inferior for black. But I was comfortable with the line, and I liked it. And they, frankly, failed to counter it. And I beat all three of them with the line. So I was very happy with it. And they all thought, they all thought it was rubbish, because they all kept on repeating the line against me. They knew I played it, but none of them managed to win against it. So if you're comfortable with that opening, go with it and get used to that opening. Even if the book says it's slightly inferior, if you understand what's involved, that's very much more important. So that would be one thing. Second thing, always look at your play as much as you can, and always look at your games afterwards and check and see where you went wrong. That's very, very important. for any player, you know, at any stage. I mean, I do it every time I play, and it's very, very important, because if you don't learn from your mistakes, what's the point, you know? Also, don't assume that just because you've won a game, you played the best. Frankly, with nowadays, I look at some of the games I've won with the computer and I think, oh my God, I'm horrified at the number of mistakes I've made, you know?
Yeah, every move's a blunder with the computer, yeah. Scanning for cheating devices at chess tournaments, what do you think?
Cheating, you say? Yeah.
Yeah, scanning for cheating devices.
I mean, I think, yeah. Unfortunately, it's the way of it. I can't believe that people are doing it, but there's some people who have, haven't they? So they've got to do something. They're trying to make it as fair as possible. And, you know, all the players I know, I just cannot believe anyone would cheat. But it's important to try and keep it a level playing field. I guess you have to do it, you know?
Yeah.
Unfortunate, but that's the way it is nowadays, because nowadays there's so many different ways they can do it, even with a very small earpiece or something you can't see. There's all kinds of possibilities, aren't there? So you've got to be very careful. Yeah.
They even do it on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, don't they? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The infamous one.
The famous example, yeah.
Yeah.
I think also when there's a lot at stake, then unfortunately people will try and find ways to cheat. Yeah. Which is unfortunate, but it's just the way of life. Yeah.
Do you think scanners at airports, etc., are damaging to our health?
No, I don't.
Okay, good. I'm glad you said that.
I'm not worried about that.
In games and chess are simple, right?
Yeah, no, they're not. That's absolutely wrong. That was another thing I was going to say, that if I was as good at end games as I am as good, you know, in the middle game or the opening, I'd have won a lot more games. Oh, and certainly not lost them. Yeah. The end game is so important. A famous example was I was playing John Smearman in the last round of a tournament, and I obtained a winning ending. But it was a rook and pawn ending. Now, rook and pawn endings are notoriously difficult. Yes. And I made a mistake, and I only drew. And that meant the difference between tying for first or winning first outright. And if I'd won, I'd have been first outright. And, you know, it was so... And that involved, if I'd been first outright, I'd have gone to Russia for a special fellowship. It would have been great. Instead, I tied for first, and on tiebreak, I didn't win it. And this other chap went to Russia instead. So I missed a big opportunity. And it was all down to the end game. And, you know, it's so important to understand your end games if possible. They're a very, very important part of life, and, you know, very interesting. Yeah.
One of my favorite terms in chess is pawn storm. Have you any?
Pawn storm?
Yeah. Have you any favorite terms in chess?
Oh, like I see your point. Yeah, any terms.
Sorry.
Zwischenzug. I love Zwischenzug. That's a lovely move.
Can you say, are you saying it right?
I hope so. Zwischenzug. Yeah? Or Zwischenzug, I don't know.
Oh, yes, you might be, actually.
At the end. It's the German.
Yeah.
The Germans have some lovely expressions. I forgot. Oh, God, my brain. I tell you, this is a sign of age. There's a lovely expression they have for when you take delight in your opponent's downfall. I've forgotten what it is.
Zugzwang. Zugzwang.
No, there's Zugzwang as well. Yeah, they have some lovely ones. Zugzwang, but there's that's it. But anyway, I've forgotten it. It'll come back to me. But the Zwischenzug is lovely. I wrote a whole chapter in my book on tactics about the Zwischenzug, the in-between move, and you know how important it is. I think the thing is that's another thing about chess, is that one thing I try and teach if I'm talking to one of my pupils is I will say, look, I capture your piece. Your natural instinct is to capture it back, right? That's automatic in our psyche. You've got to get out of that, I say. You've got to say, hang on, is there anything better? Do I recapture? Have I got an alternative? Have I got something else I can do? And that play a Zwischenzug, for example. And the thing is, that is another important fact. You try and got to condition yourself not to do the obvious, because sometimes the obvious isn't right, you know? And there are so many examples of that where someone's made a capture, thinking my opponent's got to capture back, and they've not realized there's another counter on the other side of the board, and their whole position collapses, you know. So that's an important part of chess, and it's quite difficult to because when we were young and learning, we took a piece, we took it back, and so you know, we've got to condition ourselves, and we've got to try and say, hang on, let's try not to condition ourselves. Let's think before we.
You go on.
Again, all these things are difficult, though. You kind of learn them with experience, and trying to get people to do them is not so easy.
Your video's gone out there a little bit.
I've lost you.
Yeah. Your video's gone out a little bit. Are you not there
you seem
now?
To have got, it's my internet. Are you there? Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. It says my internet connection is a bit dodgy. Yeah, I'm here. Are you there?
Yes. I see you now.
Yes, it's a bit. Oh dear.
You did it when you got the cut.
Yeah, I think we're back, but it's a bit.
I can delete it. I'll have to wait for you to get back on.
Okay. Yeah, no, we're back now, I think, aren't we? I think it was my internet connection just went a bit unstable. Yeah.
Okay, well, what's 0 times infinite?
What's 0 times infinite?
You heard the question.
Is that it? Is that your question?
Yeah, that's my question. What's 0 times infinite? Okay, what's 0 times a billion? That's a bit easier.
Well, 0 times, it's just 0, isn't it?
Where's the billion gone?
It's 0 times anything is 0. You know, that's life.
If you had $1 billion in the bank and someone said, "Oh, I just put an X and a 0 in between it," then look at what happened. It just went away. There's no money.
Yeah,
left.
it would be awful. It would be awful. Quite right.
So it doesn't make sense to me. And then what happens if you go 1 times a billion and you go 0 times a billion? Watch what happens to that one. It loses all its identity. It doesn't even have any existence anymore. Watch what that naught does to that billion. It just obliterates it. It's like a nuclear bomb.
Well, it is, yeah.
Yeah,
but you know, we hope we don't put any zeros after our money. Anyway, yeah, we've got to keep it.
So
keep
it's a zero
steady.
hero.
Yeah,
yeah. Hero. Anyway, do you play blindfold chess?
Yes. Now I have. I made not a speciality of it, but I have done a few blindfold things. I think my blindfold chess level is higher than my normal chess level, comparatively. Wow. So if I played any of the players, I mean, I played John Spielman, for example, blindfold. Now, John Spielman is rated quite a bit higher than me, chess-wise, but I played him blindfold and I beat him. And I think the blindfold thing levels it up a bit, you know? Wow. And I've played blindfold simultaneous as well. I played 10 games simultaneous.
Did you?
So that
wow.
I'm blindfolded and the 10 boards are, you know, they shout their moves out to me and I have to remember them.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. That's well done.
There's a very good, I was just reading on the internet, actually, there's a very good book by George Koltanowski. George Koltanowski was the specialist in blindfold chess, and he played, you know, 50 or 60 people. I mean, he wasn't just, and he explains how he did it, apparently, this book, but I haven't read it, so I don't know. But Tony Miles was quite good at blindfold chess as well. I think, so, you know, but some of the other stronger players are not so good, you know.
What do you consider your style in chess? Like you said, tactical before, but what do you consider your style in chess is?
It's aggressive and it can be tactical. I don't mind. I mean, to be honest, I don't mind winning a game with no tactics at all. But I have got a reputation for fairly sharp play, sharp lines. You know, maybe pawn sacrifices and so on. Rather than I'm not the great, you know, playing an ending. I mean, Keith Arkle writes these articles and they're lovely, but they're squeezing an advantage after about 80 moves in a Queen's Gambit declined. It's not the most exciting thing in the world for me, and I try not to get involved in that kind of stuff. But sometimes you have to be, and sometimes you have to get involved with it and do the best you can. But and probably that's been one of my weaknesses, is when I've got a fight in that kind of position, I tend to not do as well as I might, because I like to have a position where I've got counter chances rather than just be a defending, which is much harder, I think.
Or manoeuvring. Or someone manoeuvring.
I mean, I played quite a lot of games. I used to play E4 all the time when I was younger, and I enjoyed those games. They were very, swashbuckling type games.
Yes.
Then I changed to D4 because I felt that people had worked out the defence. I wasn't happy playing against the Sicilian, and so I changed to D4 to change that. But D4 led to more strategic type games, but there were still tactics involved. Yeah. So I tend to be a sharp player. Yeah.
What do you consider, International Master, important for preparation at the board?
Preparation of the board. I mean, when I was younger, I didn't think it was important. But as I've got older, I realized that it's quite important to get an idea what your opponent plays and what his weaknesses are and what his strengths are, and try and choose the opening you think will not suit him, if possible. Also, to be prepared. I mean, if you're not prepared for what your opponent plays, you can be caught out, and you might have to spend a lot of time then and put yourself into time trouble. So you try and prepare. I mean, there are some opponents you can't prepare for, really, because they play so many different lines. But there are some opponents who always play the same line. I mean, John Nunn is an example. Generally, John plays the same openings for black and white. So you have a good idea what to expect. I'm not saying you're necessarily going to prepare the right thing, but you certainly are knowing what.
Internet.
And I looked at it and realized that white, there was an improvement for white. And so this line, he's bound to play something different, but he played exactly the same line. Can you believe it? Yeah. And we played the improvements, and he lost, and we won. So you can prepare quite successfully, but you've got to be, and I do. I always prepare for an opponent. I always think what I'm going to play, so that when I arrive at the board, I'm comfortable with what I've got to do, and I'm not going to have to take too much time, because I know later in the game I'm going to have to spend quite a lot of time, working out what to do next. So I want to spend as little time as possible in the opening stages. That's the important thing.
What do you think of Sunday, 23rd of July, 1972? And you went out before, by the way. Round 6 of the World Chess Championships. So what do you think of Boris Spassky as black, signing the score sheet with resigns, and then joining in the applaud for Bobby Fischer? Round 6.
Yeah. I mean, those games were amazing. I can't specifically remember which game that was, round 6, but I know that there's some tremendous games. Is it the one where he played?
He was white.
It was it.
He just had rocks and queens crunching the king on the king side, and Spassky just didn't look like he could have hold
Didn't he get a pawn? He got a pawn to E6, didn't he? And he sacrificed his rook on F6. Is that the one?
Something like
white.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Fischer played a beautiful game.
Though. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, and to be fair, I mean, having lost the first 2, won by default, he suddenly fought back, and he played brilliantly. I have to say, there were some beautiful games there. What is not generally well known, though, is actually in the latter stages of that match, there were quite a lot of draws. And in those draws, Spassky had some good chances, but he failed to capitalize on them. So it just shows you Spassky not stupid. But Fischer just played brilliantly, basically.
Well, no one's ever going to say that about the boss Spassky.
No, that's right. Yeah.
So, what would you play? Would you play chess if your results weren't any good?
If my results weren't good? if I felt that I was losing it and not playing as well, I'd probably try and think of something else to do. I mean, I've taken up bridge. I play a lot of bridge, so I'd probably play a lot more bridge and forget the chess. But at the moment, I'm hanging on in there. I'm not doing so badly, so I'm happy. I'm prepared to give chess more of a chance, you know.
Well, you just
but there's a big the over 50s and over 65 circuit. All the boys that I used to know who went to work and gave up chess a bit, they're all coming back. So it's nice to see them. Peter Large, for example, I saw playing, Chris Baker playing, all these guys who played against each other when we were younger. You know, then we all worked and we all had families, so we didn't have chance. And now we're coming back. We feel we've got a chance on the senior circuit, so we're going for it, you know. But if I start losing, if I start playing badly, I think I'll give it up. I'll do something else.
Oh, I hope you don't get the dream state of having pieces walking around in your head too much.
Oh, no, you do get that, especially if you've lost the game and you keep on going over in your head how you could have done better. That's the worst thing. Yeah.
What's your favorite movie, Paul?
Favorite movie? Well, I like
His
The Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
Up. His face lit up. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Wow.
Yeah. Do you like that?
Clint Eastwood and all that. Yeah, it's a classic.
Yeah, it's a great film. I love that film. I think it's a fantastic film. I mean, I do like lots of different films, actually. I'm very fond of all kinds of films, but that one is a real favourite of mine. I think it's a classic, you know?
Yeah, it is. And he's sitting there and he's up on the top of that. He's been hung or something and he gets away.
Yeah, that's right. He shoots the rope. Yeah.
You know?
And then there's one famous scene where Eli Wallach catches up with him.
Yeah.
He's just about to shoot the rope, and Eli Wallach, and he looks at Eli Wallach, and Eli Wallach shakes his head. And so the bloke gets hung, and that's it. He's expecting to escape, but that's the end of him. Terrible.
What do you do when your opponent is not your best friend?
Yeah, it's a typical one. I don't like to hate my opponents. I'm not like Bobby Fischer. Bobby Fischer says he hates his opponent. I don't totally believe that, actually. I don't totally believe he means it. What he's trying to say is that I want to kill my opponent. He wants to get into that frame of mind where he's playing and he wants to kill his opponent, right? Yeah. I don't get into that frame of mind. I want to beat my opponent, but I don't feel as though I have to hate him to do that. You know?
Yes. Yeah. Do you play ever, like you've sort of said this a wee bit, do you play what we would call a dud game?
A dud game?
Yeah, a game that was like a blank bullet.
I'm not sure what you mean exactly. Sorry, it's just a game which is a waste of time.
It's a fizzle. Your gameplay is a fizzle. Do you get those games? Rubbish.
Yeah. Well, you do have that sometimes, and you think back and you think, oh my God, I wish I could have done better. Yeah, I mean, it just happens every now and again. You can't really do anything about it. It's just, you just can't get into the rhythm of the game. Yeah.
What's the movie you hate the most?
The movie?
That you hate the most, you detest.
The film I hate the most, you mean, in other words, yeah.
No, any movie, not Eddie Murphy, but any movie that you detest the most, that you just can't stand.
Oh,
I don't know. I have to go back to school to learn English.
That's okay. I'm just trying to think.
Like, I hate Independence Day, for example. I think it's the worst, one of the worst movies that have ever been made is Independence Day. But the box office...
You know what? I tend not to... I've watched occasionally movies, I think, that I might hate, but I forget them very quickly, and I don't see them again. I tend to choose the films I quite like, and I can't say I really hate any movie offhand. No, I don't really hate any movie. I'll think of something. Sorry?
What about foods? Is there any foods you hate?
Foods?
Yeah, any food.
Well... Yeah, this is a phase you go through. I didn't use, as we all were when we were younger, we didn't used to like sprouts, but I quite like them now. I'm not terribly fond of fish, strangely enough. Oh. I like prawns and I like lobster, stuff like that. But I'm not terribly fond of straight fish. So I again, but it's not a hate, but it's just something I prefer not to eat. Yeah.
Yeah. Now this is another question that my friend Nick from England originally asks. What's your favorite chess book?
My favorite chess book is
your one?
I do know the answer to this question because I got asked it before and I had to think about it. But the Zurich Candidates by Bronstein,
Wow.
1953. I tell you why. We haven't got much time, by the way, left with you. But all I would say is the reason I liked it is he discussed the ideas behind all the openings when he analyzed the games, and I found that really, really useful. And it helped me in one game I played against Grandmaster Danny King once, and I beat him using an idea that Bronstein had put in that book. So I was very pleased. That book is really, really good book, you know. So I really enjoyed it.
So do you want to close up now, or what do you want to do?
We can close up now, I think. Yeah, if that's all right.
I think so. I think for you, and it's getting on for me too a wee bit. So would you please close?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed this. Nice to talk to you, and I hope everyone in New Zealand is well. I look forward to seeing them again, and maybe you know, if they can get me a kind of diplomatic pass to go to New Zealand and live there, I'll accept it. Wow. I love New Zealand. I love New Zealand. So, but I think it's virtually impossible now in my age. But I really do love it. There we are.
We might get you over for a simultaneous display or something.
Well, that'd be fine. I'd love it. I really enjoy it. Yeah.
Thank you very much, there, champion. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this.
No problem. Really I've enjoyed it very much. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Cheers.